I didn't need his. Okay.
You said I'm a nice guy. I'm sorry, I missed it.
No.
Were you saying that I'm a nice guy?
No, I first wanted to get to you. Your father should give me an introduction to who I am, what I do, before I get to you. I didn't get hold of your father. I spoke to you. It's absolutely fine. I didn't need your father. Anyway, that's what it is. Now, my name is Sholom Myers. And I must tell you something. Some of you maybe weren't born in 1980. In 1980, I worked for I qualified as an accountant, so you should know who I am. And I worked for the biggest private firm, which was a Jewish firm called Schwartz Fine. That sounds Jewish enough, right? And a little company from Arthur Anderson bought them out, called Arthur Anderson.
Wow.
Remember Arthur Anderson? They certainly were a big force. They were the third biggest in the world. They were headquartered in Chicago. So I had a shul job. I'd been to yeshiva after high school for a year. And then I went to study accountancy. And I always was working in the shuls. I was what's called a reverend. Didn't have a smicha then. And I was working in the shul. And this firm was bought out by this massive company called Arthur Anderson. And they were going to send the whole office to Chicago for training, right? So they called me in. They said, you know, we're giving you all a trip, free trip from Africa to Chicago, and you can take your annual leave then. But they said to me, you must give up your shul job. That's what they said to me. Because there weren't very great labor laws, because I was doing it at my own time. But then they could say that if you work for Arthur Anderson, it's such a cover, such an honor, you can only be like the secretary of or the treasurer of the football club. That's what they wrote in their rule book. So you can't have another employment. So I said to them, you know, let me see. I didn't intend becoming a rabbi at that point, but the shul gave me the same amount as Arthur Anderson and a house. So I'll be losing about 2/3 of my income, which I'm thinking, what for? So I went to the next big firm, and I didn't go to Chicago then, but now I've come a few times now. So, you know, it's quite okay. And that would have been a trip in the middle of the winter. Coming from South Africa in the summer to this in the winter is not a joke. We would have, anyway, but that's just a little background to what I am. Pardon? Rondebosch. Anyway, so I came on Aliyah in 1985 with the intention of working as an accountant. I qualified in Israel, but I learned for a year or two, and then it got more. Then I decided to work for myself as an accountant and keep on learning. So I worked at night as an accountant. I did non-profits. I did a whole lot of non-profits. And then I went into the rabbinate full-time. I got a smicha. And then one thing and another, I worked at Rosameach. Then I started the Emek Learning Center. Just follow me. Emek Learning Center is a shul and a learning center in Katamon. We started in 2013 and immediately started working with lone soldiers. I didn't know this whole thing of lone soldiers becoming very popular. And they live, a lot of them live, the English-speaking lone soldiers live in the Nachlaot, that's the Shuk area in the town. And other group live where we are. I was working with the English-speaking religious lone soldiers. So I provide for them, you know, help them with housing, with apartments, furnishing it, having for Shabbat. And then as you get more familiar, you start to be able to advise them. Now, one background I didn't say to you, I served in the South African Army as chaplain for 1 year and 3 months, which gives you what the military life is. And I had 4 kids who were combat soldiers in the Israeli army. And one is a captain in the Tzanchanim, and one was in the Sayeret Nachal. So I've, you know, have my share of that amount of stuff. So they came living in the area, and I used to help them for the Shabbat and the Chagim, and advise them and have apartments for them. And then it becomes a whole thing. 4 years ago, an organization called Shachar. Now there's another thing in Israel where the ultra-Orthodox get an exemption from military service, but a lot are starting to serve now. So they made a number of units for them, where there's extra kosher food, there's no women there, and there's special times. They don't have to steal time to daven. There's fixed times in the morning to daven and to have shiurim and all that stuff. So they made Netzach Yehuda and 2 other units. I work at the 2 units at Tzanchanim and Givati. Now, I volunteer there. I'm not a paid worker because they asked me to volunteer there. And I go into the camp on average once a week in different camps. Sometimes I go twice a week. And the round trip from when I leave home till I get back is about 5 or 6 hours. Because it's not a big country, but the Tzanchanim are near Beersheba, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. And then you're there for an hour and a half or so, but more. And the Givati, the training base is near Gvul Mitzrayim. It's Har Kerim. And when they're in the front lines, which is in the Golan, that's also a longer trip than I stay overnight. So I'm very involved with these units because they said, with the Tzanchanim, they wanted somebody who could relate to the soldiers. And also I have a whole shul and I have a learning center and the people host them and this kind of stuff. Now, I just want to show you some of the printed material which I have.
How do you dress when you go to the base?
I dress like I'm dressed now. In other words, I'm not in army uniform. The highest rank, anybody who's been to the army, the highest rank in the army is a civilian. Because they can't tell you what to do, right? If you know, you're coming in as a no, you haven't got the same in military. It's not the same command structure. Now, I learned that in the South African Army. I was there as a chaplain, which means I was did basic training in the officers' course, lieutenant. The head chief chaplain of the Jews was a fellow called Rabbi Sandler, and he came in a regular suit. And the army really wanted him to join the permanent force and be part of it because it's good for, public relations, beard, and this and that. And he said, not so fast. He didn't join because then he could, otherwise he'd always be under the other people in the army. So when you're a civilian and you are volunteering, you're at the highest rank there because they're very happy that you're coming in. So I just want to show you, this is the material which I printed some time ago. You can look at it at your own leisure, you can pass it around. There are some of the pictures I can just show you when you pass them around.
So what does your day look like when you get into
The thing is, there's a number of different things you're doing. In other words, when you go to the base, every base, let's say the Tzanchanim, or at least 2 or 3 places. There's the training base, then there's the forward camp. So the training base is the Plugot, and then there's the Gedud. And they're in 1 or 2 places in the north or wherever they might be. And the same with Givati. And there also are people doing officers course and junior officers course. It's called Kurs Maki, Mefaket Kita. So there's at least 5 or 6 places every week that we can visit. 5 or 6 places, and each place has got 40 or 50 or 100 people over there. So it's a lot of soldiers. I'll give you an example. This front picture here, as an example, the front picture. If you look at it closely, the guys are all smiling. They were on active duty in Yehuda v'Shomron. Had the afternoon off. There was some yeshuv. There was a pool there, and we made a barbecue. You can see the end of the barbecue little apparatus there. And I said, listen, guys, I'm going to be seeing people, and I need a picture. That's what I have to do. They said, fine. So they all drew for a picture, and I said, something's wrong. I said, now we like sitting over here, their guns were where that exit sign is, just about 5 yards away. I said, guys, get your guns and put them on. They said, you're joking. I said, I'm not joking at all. Otherwise, what's the picture? Just a couple of cool young guys who are sitting around a barbecue, and that's it. So there you go in, that's what I do quite a lot of the time, because the distance is so great and the time is so great. If I give a shiur, that's great, but it's only got a certain amount of value because they are into the shiur, 45 minutes later, an hour later, they finished and they're gone. If you go to an event, then you say a Dvar Torah, but you mix with the guys and you're providing a barbecue and you're providing music, and it becomes more of an event, so you get to know the people more and you feel you are doing more because you get to know them. you're saying less Torah directly, but you're meeting with them and you see who they are and you speak to them. So I try and go whenever when there's an event, he said when they finish basic training to the next level of training, or when they finish one thing and the officer commanding is leaving. And I'll tell you a secret. It's a secret. Everything I give to the army is supposed to get the authority of the Aguda Lemana Chayal. Right? Small thing. You know, you must know one thing. I'm regarded by people in the army as a Rothschild. Understand? Because I raise a bit of money, so they kind of, I say to me, Myers, can you help us out? We want to give the guys, some of the guys now, I'm also now working with the Haredi guys, where they haven't had high school education, and they've broken away at some level from their community. Generally, the community accepts them more now, but they're still, you know, a bit different, and they've got to get skills. Now, skills, as you know, you've got to finish high school, you've got to do a course, and they said, can you pay 20,000 shekels, you know, just like that? It's about, you know, $6,000 for 3 heavy-duty driver's licenses. I said, hold on a second. That's something which the government's got to do. I can't stand in the way of the government and say, well, hundreds of thousands are going to provide all that. They've got to have systems for that, you know. But anyway, when I make a barbecue, I think really I should get the permission of the Aguda Lemana Chayal. Obviously, I don't. I just go and make the barbecue because the officers just wanted. It's like a small perk, but you're doing that on quite a regular basis every month, or even about twice a month. You're doing it. You find an event where you're providing food and there's music and there's all this kind of stuff. So definitely is good for the morale and the guys like it. And I've actually got a video. I don't know if you can show it, but did I send you the video? I think it was. Huh?
Who is Clayman Aguda Lemana Chayal?
No, she's got her own organization called Thank You Israeli Soldiers. She does something else. Look, so what I'm doing is like this. I'm working with I started with the English-speaking religious soldiers, like your son.
My son lives in one of the apartments that Rabbi
Right,
lives in.
right.
Just send it to me on WhatsApp.
Okay, hold on a second.
And he's Tzanchanim in the paratroopers, but he's in the Chetz unit, which stands for Haredi Tzanchanim. They're not really called Haredi, but they're all observant.
Correct. Okay, hold on a second. Let me find this.
And what years?
What do you mean? What year? He's in his first year. He's in his first year of service. Yeah, he would be, if he was in the U.S., would be a sophomore in college. He graduated in 2020 and took a gap year in Israel. And then while he was on his gap year, said, yeah, I'm not coming home. Came home for 2.5 weeks and back to Israel.
Okay.
My husband was in the army in 1991, and he was a Chayal Boded with almost no family or friends in Israel. He had gone to Mevaseret Zion. So I told him I was coming tonight, and he said, I want you to tell them, when I was a Chayal Boded, I got 2 things. I got a comforter and a sandwich maker.
That's important.
Listen.
He said he didn't know anybody.
They treat them better now. I will say that he gets a lot of nice
He said
stuff.
he knew nothing. His Hebrew was terrible.
Did it come to you?
He was
Just send it
Nahal. What?
Is your child serving now?
No.
I will say the other thing, though, that speaking of speaking no Hebrew, my
Hold on a
son
second.
happens to speak a lot of Hebrew,
I'll-
but there
I'll-
are
I'll
other
tell you what
lone
I need.
soldiers in his unit who don't speak
No,
Hebrew
I need the
or
Wi-Fi.
who don't
Yeah.
speak Hebrew well. And while they have other rabbis who come in and learn with them, when Rabbi Myers, one of the things that Drew said was that when Rabbi Myers comes in and learns with them, all of the English-speaking kids now understand and can learn, as opposed to when some of the Israeli rabbis come in and learn with them, and some of the kids are like, because they've learned army Hebrew, but they haven't learned.
She speaks Swedish, whenever she didn't speak it. She went to Mikveh alone, and she said that most she learned in Mikveh alone was Russian.
Yeah.
For most, she didn't learn
Was
Russian.
that a kibbutz?
No,
it's
Mikveh
actually-
alone
No, Mikveh alone is a
Oh, okay.
is an Ulpan, Army
Oh,
Ulpan.
it's an old one. Okay.
Same thing, she went for 4 months with Hillel, and then she came back, stayed a while. She was accepted in neuroscience. I said, I'm sure you got in Chile
Yeah.
and Chile in
You're
San
in.
Diego. She said, no, I wanted to serve. So she's there. Her boyfriend is in Nahal. They have a very nice group of them.
You got it?
It's a lot
One or
better than
two?
it was because they were kibbutz.
Which
It's a
one?
Group of 24 Americans.
That's great.
That everybody
Ends
from
with
North
TYY.
to that Tiffany
Very good. And then I'm also going to send this to you.
That's great.
I'm going to send you this other one here. Daddy, the other one.
And so if you are Machal, if you do the Machal program,
Right.
you only have to do 18 months.
You serve less. yeah.
Yes, yes,
No.
you still yes, yeah.
But you can
My boyfriend
extend.
is not Nahal, he's Nahal.
So
No,
Machal is different
Machal
than
is
Nahal.
Connecting.
Machal is a shortened service.
Right.
Nachal is the unit,
Correct, correct.
right?
Correct.
You're right.
So he's not Nahal.
Oh,
And
okay.
she's not doing also sort of unit. She's
Can you broadcast that somewhere high up or not?
I want to share. Okay, I'm just gonna put on
You don't,
share my
so if you
screen.
do Machal, you are
No,
not
but can you
committing
put it
to
up so people
Aliyah,
have here to
No,
see?
just-
although
just
most
turn
of them
around.
end up
Hmm?
doing.
Let's just
And
watch it.
most
I'll
of
turn
them
okay,
around.
okay, okay.
Had to make Aliyah back then.
Right, and so
And
if,
then my brother-in-law who also did it, but it was easier for him. He didn't have to make Aliyah.
Okay.
so
And
one of
that-
the,
your
one of,
son didn't have to make
he
Aliyah.
did not have to make Aliyah.
Mine didn't when he served, but he did it
He
as
did
he
it
was
after.
leaving, and then hasn't
Oh.
been back now.
So he's gonna stay.
Now he's in Grand, my son's in Grand
His,
Canyon.
his sons, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
He's
he's
a
gonna be
pilot
back
now,
there.
and-
but he is an Israeli. citizen.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's the video.
Here's the video. Working with the Lone Soldiers is the most significant and inspiring work I have ever done. They do not know the language, they've got no family, they don't know the culture. They are moiser nefesh for the Jewish people, for Am Yisrael, and for Eretz Israel. I feel the least I can do is to do the same for them. I guide them before their service. I've hired apartments for them. I visit them on the base. I furnished apartments for them, and that's only a small fraction for all the service which they do continually, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hi, my name is Hanna Falgarova and I'm a lone soldier from Ukraine. I serve in the International Relations Unit.
My name is Justin Gallagher, and I'm from Potomac, Maryland. I serve as a combat soldier in Plugat Chet, Sankhani. Hi, my name is Shai Adler, made Aliyah from West Orange, New Jersey. I drafted to Sankhani in 2015. Commander, I remember Rabbi Myers coming to the base and bringing a lot of ruach, singing songs and the Torah, giving over all these things to our soldiers. Rav Myers is simply a man who wants to make an impact on lone soldiers' lives. He came to our base from day one all the way to the day that I was released, bringing snacks, bringing a smile, bringing energy, which definitely gave us a boost in our morale. Rav Myers is a man of his word, and his word is golden. So Rav Myers, thank you so much. Whether it be the Shabbats that you came to visit us on base, whether it be the Shirei Torah, you really strengthened our morale on base and in Judaism, and for that we say thank you.
And I want to say thank you to Rabbi Myers and his association. He always invites me for Shabbat dinners, which are wonderful. His association helped me to purchase a wardrobe. I want to wish him to continue being such a wonderful person and continue helping lone soldiers as he does now. Thank you.
Introducing Lemonade Car.
Hold on a second. Here's the picture of the apartment where you'll see where your son is.
I've seen it, he's videoed me.
He videoed you?
Yeah,
Okay. I'd like you to send me the video. See.
he was just live, he didn't send it, he was just live, he walked around the
Yeah,
apartment.
yeah, yeah. This is the one which I had. One of the Israelis who was there. He's left now, I think.
I'll tell him to make a video. He'll send it.
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's nicer than mine. My house, I think, sometimes. It's
So how
surprisingly
will
for
they
guys
connect
living there, they
with-
keep
how
it.
do they connect with
Here we are.
It's a
You
first
sent it?
time
You got
to
it?
meet the rabbi. Actually, she went through my wife and
Right.
them?
Yeah,
So you have to tell her that.
she had like difficulties finding an apartment. The family that most there was signing for her. She was like 3 months in advance, and the
You gotta go.
But Shalom.
Okay, listen.
Toda
Guys,
Myers.
here's the apartment.
But
That's crazy.
And it's going? Stop.
Yeah. Should be.
Yeah, it's fine.
So she found a place.
זה נפלא. שבת נפלא, תודה רבה.
So who pays the rent?
It's a relatively high.
They pay the rent, but then when somebody's there, I pay the rent. I'm always paying every year about 3,000 shekels. There's like a gap between the people. Yeah. And then they pay their arnona because they get a big discount. And then I pay the lights, the water, and the food.
See, that's probably, other than housing and things, the other thing that I think is the hardest for Lone Soldiers is medical stuff, because you don't have your parents there to advocate for you. So I know that there's 2 boys right now in Feds that are struggling with some medical issues who may not
But Shalom.
may not be able to continue. And I told their mother I'd give you their names. to
They
see if
should
you can help.
contact me. They should
But
contact me.
Shalom.
So it's like,
תודה.
It's not fun.
Huh?
No, it's not.
מיירס. בית הנפלא. שבת נפלאה, תודה רבה.
Was this after Shabbos?
before.
Before. Got it. Nice.
So these are, there's another video which I'd like to send to you now. Did you get another video?
If you send that video, it's not gonna work. So I'll need to
Why did-
download it.
Why did-
Unless it's on YouTube.
I don't put the on
If
YouTube.
it's not on YouTube, it's gonna be hard.
Try this. But the other one you managed to, it's
Oh, it's on
on
YouTube.
YouTube. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then we can- Okay. So listen, so I've got as the main core group is the English speaking Lone Soldiers. I'm now working with the Haredi soldiers, which is those 2 units. And they're opening another unit sometime in the near future. They want to draft Haredim for the intelligence unit, for the military intelligence, which is going to involve money from the government to get them up to a certain level of expertise. And those who pass the exam will then be admitted to the military intelligence, which gives them skills for later life. And then I'm going to be in charge of the livui, that's the accompaniment of all the shiurim and the whole religious and social life on the base and outside the base. In other words, if they are going to go in at some level of religiosity, which they can keep, sometimes even increase, but not decrease, that'll be a spur for more to come. It's, you go to the army, you don't lose everything. And the army recognizes that. That's why they give them these units and the extra time to daven and the extra resources and the food and the army's going to reorganize to accommodate, and which it does. But they said I would have to raise the money for the rabbis. There'll be some rabbis, even now, every base has an hour a day of shiurim, but they haven't got enough budget for that. And that's to the detriment of the soldiers. Because that was decided at the beginning, but the government said, okay. So the organization I work with goes, I think, about twice a week, maybe 3 instead of 5 or 6. That's the situation. And the guys need the more hand holding they'll get religiously and that kind of stuff, the better it is. Plus they'll be able to help with all these other issues and everything else. So we've got these units and we've got the stuff, and it's mamash, it's what's called, it's endless work because it's becoming more and more popular. About 3 years ago, there's a guy in my shul, he used to be a rabbi in LA, said there was one regular school, not a religious school or anything, in LA, where the whole graduating class became Lone Soldiers. So it becomes, quite like a rite of passage. They educated towards Hebrew and Israel. Let's go to the army. So a lot of them only come with the intention to serve and go back, right? Which is also okay. You want to serve and stay, but they got that feeling and their children will come. And so it's a strong kesher. And so I'm there to help them that the kesher will be stronger and better and more pleasant. Why shouldn't it be? Do you have any questions?
Rabbi David Gad from
Yes.
Efrat came to, I'm from Baltimore, came to Baltimore. He's doing an organization that helps from like religious soldiers, Dati soldiers, stay Dati. Do you work together?
No, I don't know who he is.
It's his organization, I think, is called Shlush. His wife is the principal of a girls' yeshiva called Ami in Efrat.
Uh-huh. Look, there are a lot of organizations, and every organization has got a benefit because there's so many soldiers, and if you can help them in one area, I'll give you an example, so that's all good. I just know that the armies come to me to do this for this new units, which means that I must be doing something which others can't do. I've got the shul and the learning center, and I've been doing this now for altogether almost 9 years.
And
With the
would you say
Haredi,
there's a high rate of these kids not staying religious?
I don't know. A lot of them don't look at. Some of them come into the army religious, some of them come into the army less religious. And any major change in lifestyle, some will get stronger and some will get weaker. That's the way it is. People will go to college. Some will there become more religious because they heard shiurim or somebody, or they were alone and they thought more deeply. And others will just go for the party. There'll be different kinds of reactions. But the army certainly provides something. It provides a lot, in fact. Not everything, but definitely provides a lot. It says if you want to bring the regular lone soldiers, we've got to give them Tnaim, free university afterwards, a month back to see their parents, all this kind of stuff, which they didn't do 35 years ago. There wasn't this awareness of it. And, all then they get extra days off and they get a rental allowance, a rental subsidy and assistance with vocational guidance, all these training for free and all these aptitude tests for free, So that's what you do. I'll tell you a funny story with I had an interaction with the Agudal Amach. I've got quite a lot of interactions with him. One was like this. I came to the camp and it was in the Golan. This is the Tzanchani. This is last year. And I decided, because it's the Golan, I wasn't going to drive home because drive 2 hours and 2 hours back. It's not America where you drive the whole day. It's about 2-3 hours each way. So I said, forget it. I'm going to sleep over. I said, let my wife come with me. So we went to the army base. Now, the army base where they were being trained was you guys paid for the training base. The army base where your son is now, Bach San Khanim, was a cherry given by the American government when Israel pulled out of Sinai. They said, give the land and we will set out and pay for the whole setup. So it's for a training base, it's very misudar, very nice. Okay. So I go to this base in the north and it's very ramshackle. They all are. When it's not a training base, it's like, huts and it's got a certain look about it and everything. The accommodation is really not great. It's where they're going to be for a few months and it's freezing cold. I went with my wife. Okay. So we sit there and I can have a talk and we had a barbecue and this, that. And they came to me and they said, couldn't you get us what they call a fleece, something like this, right? So how much does it cost? 120 shekels, and you want to get it for 90 kids, 20,000 shekels, right? I said, okay, let me try. So my wife got involved. She raised a whole lot of money, and I raised the money. A few days we had the money. So you want to go and buy this stuff? Not so fast, Charlie. Got to get permission now, because it went through the army quartermaster from the Agudah Lema'an Chayal. And they said, nothing doing. Why? I'll tell you why. The army gives them a fleece. Not a great one, but it'll give you a fleece. So we don't want you to get another fleece like that. They've got their rules. So you can't get it. Now, the army, so I couldn't get it. So then they suggest to me, can we get them underpants and vests? Yeah. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I raised money for something significant, not for underclothes or socks. I think that's, then they said to me, okay, should we buy like a exercise equipment and this kind of stuff? I said, no, I want something which soldiers can enjoy. So we settled on, it's called a running, it's something like this. It's much thinner. It's a Nike running
Like
top.
a wicking, sweat wicking.
Whatever you call it, something like that, which is cheaper, but I bought 120 and it was, with a thing. And I went there and they were, oh, somebody's over here. Somebody's they were very happy with that. That was my one thing. There was a soldier from Chetz, this unit, and he was killed in a terrorist attack last year. His name was Eli K, a South African guy. And he was killed in November last year in the Old City. So I told you, my name is Rothschild, right? So this unit came to me. I mean, of all the people that come to me, they say, we want to refurbish the Muadon, the clubhouse. 40,000 shekels. That's $10,000, $12,000, let's say, $13,000. So I generally collect money, smaller bits, oh gosh, more money. Let me see what I can do. So I went to one donor. Basically, I raised the money very quickly. And the one donor was the Agudah Lema'an Chayal themselves. I'd contacted somebody, and they were representatives of the Agudah, the Soldiers Benevolent Society. So when I said to them, okay, send me the money and I will send it to the army, they said, no, we are the army. You send us your money. So now, it's taken a bit long. They're going to probably do it sometime in July to have the whole dedication. So, you're doing all these things for the soldiers, for the people, for their benefit. If anybody's going to be in July, you're going to be in July, let me know, because if the opening is then, I'll let you know in a few weeks' time. I'll let you know.
The 13th, 14th of July.
Ooh, wow. Okay, that's very good. You tell me. You know why? Because I'm going to write now to we finish this, remind me, to the CEO of the Chetz. It's called the Projector. He's like a project manager. And tell him, he knows this, but I'll say parents are coming in.
Yes.
And we should have the dedication.
That weekend.
That weekend, correct. Okay. Any questions?
No, but I can witness what you say. Our daughter was guarding by John Sams.
Oh, right.
Many times. And we were talking, although she's not very supposed to use the phone. And she was freezing. We sent her the underpants and the shirt, but she could not wear anything but the army.
But if she wears it underneath, it's not a problem. If you wear it underneath the army stuff, you can wear it.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what we sent her down. We sent her the socks.
Right.
So it was fine. But
Right.
she told us, like you said, we could not wear anything.
Right. Right.
Just a little bit about L'chaim said.
Right.
We have a grandson who's he said that, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that his unit could buy jackets, a certain kind of jacket that would be approved. And we, as a collective, raised for the Kavati, and we raised the money, and and we still go like this,
Yeah, sure. It should, absolutely.
And they're constantly, not constantly, excuse me, periodically asking for.
Correct.
So that's where Chaim.
Very nice. Okay, look, if they give permission at the outset, which is always the best thing to do, to what can be.
Sorry, I have to go.
No, okay, fine, keep on. Thank you very much. If they get permission at the outset from the Agudat Amar, then it's not a problem. If it's going, if they said to Agudat Amar Chayal, we want this, and they said, okay, we'll approve that you get this type. Then they go to you. Then that's the way it should be done. And they first got permission,
Right.
and then they raised the money.
Rabbi,
Yes.
so I was talking to a lady. One of the problems our daughter encountered is that she wanted to move from the kibbutz to a place, and she went to something in Bat Yam, find it. In the process, two people found reasons not to rent it. One asked for 50,000 shekel because they broke the contract. They asked for 3 months, so 3 months was okay. They asked for a lawyer to a paper with the family that was hosting her there to sign for them. So a lot of people say, oh, also was great.
Right.
About that, but when it comes to it, some of them don't
Okay.
trust consultants.
Well, that could be, but first of all, most people do because there are a lot of lone soldiers who have apartments. And the way I help the lone soldiers is that I am their guarantor. I'm the person here. So this apartment over here, make sure Scott looks after the apartment.
Yeah, he says the refrigerator is broken.
Right, that's correct. I just got the text down. So in other words, you can rent these apartments for these soldiers, and there are cases where people don't want to. The majority do, but like anything else, you want to make sure that they don't trash it, and there's guarantees and somebody standing by.
There were at least 2 out of 3 people they talked to, found another reason to say together. But that's just personal stuff.
Right,
It's not
right.
a rule.
Look, I have a
My son
donor.
had that problem too.
I'm sorry.
I have a
My son had
donor.
that problem.
I have a donor who says to me, if I get an apartment of all girls, they'll furnish the whole thing. So I tell her if she wants to come to Jerusalem in the Katamon area, we'll get an apartment, we'll furnish the whole thing. There you are. In other words, there was one girl who spoke this on the video from Ukraine. So she was the only lone soldier in her apartment. So I spoke to these days. They said, okay, fine, we can get her a cupboard. So she's very happy with that. She got her a cupboard. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much. You can get my number from Rabbi Gadi Levy. Not at all, not at all. So if you're in Israel, please contact me. I can show you what we're doing. I can take you around. That'll be good. That'll be good. Listen, we are, by the way, a 501c3 American charitable organization.
We can donate through your website, right?
Correct. That's what it is. So the soldiers are doing all the work. We're just making it easier and better, and that's what it is. Is your grandson still a lone soldier?
He was until his parents moved to Israel.
Ah, nice.
I was going to ask you about that. How does it get to them now?
He had to notify them
Right.
that his parents were there and he wasn't a lone soldier.
That
They
was
were
the
very-
first year. I'm sorry to cut you. That was for the first year, right? After 2 years, I think you're allowed to do that, but not the first year.
I don't know. But he's a Chester. He's in the Chester.
Ah,
Shiva,
nice.
and they were very generous. They gave him time to be with his parents.
Right.
They gave him, they were, government treated him. He's still in the army.
Which yeshiva is he in? Which yeshiva?
What's the name of your shiva? Rabbi Terragan.
Oh, that's Kush.
Oh, no, he's not. No, that's Hilla. Yeah, that's Hilla.
Hakotel is Rav Tarragon.
Rav Tarragon, as far as I know, there's a Rav Tarragon in Yeshivat Gush Etzion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
More than one. Yeah.
That's our other grandson.
Okay, very
He
good.
was
Very
in
good.
Del.
They're brothers.
Oh, they're brothers. Okay. They're brothers in arms. They're brothers in Torah. Very good.
Rabbi Reuven Tarragon is also an educational director of Mizrahi.
Okay. Thank you very much.
He's in Ashkelon or Ashkelon, somewhere.
He's at Hakotel. He's the director of the overseas program.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I've got 6 guys from our hotel which are involved in me. They actually came to shul, some of them, and they've got an apartment in Derech Chevron. So I got their mattresses, and they are yeshiva. They didn't want to stay and dorm in the yeshiva because they wanted to be out of yeshiva life, and they come to our shul, so it's very nice. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Rabbi, did you have anyone from Kansas City there? Because there's a couple of religious kids.
Yes,
there
yes,
now.
yes, yes. There's a guy called. Don't tell me.
Brutale or Ezra
Gabriel.
Smith?
I'll tell you right now. Kansas. He's a
So Steve,
Male Adumim.
before Steve and I got married, he was in Colorado and Kansas.
Okay, I'm gonna think of Kansas.
So,
I don't know if we
Was
should
Ezra
turn off
Smith
the
was there?
recording.
and
Do you think we
then
should turn off the recording?
Ariel Brutale
Yeah.
is there now.
I do.
Gabi
I'm gonna
Glickman.
yeah.
Gabi